And welcome into the Monday edition, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, sponsored by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, enjoyed the snow while it was here, and now, which is good around here, doesn't last very long, it goes away, and hopefully not to be seen again the rest of the year. At least that's my take on it. Joe Rexrode, how we doing?
Yeah, I'm with you. Nick may not be with you, but I'm with you. Got some melting yesterday, which is good to see. Still some school closings. I know that my kids are 2 hours late in today, so I'll still get a little sleep in. But yeah, let's get through this. Let's get done with this. And do we have warmer temps at any point coming up?
I think later in the week we get into the 40s, mid 40s.
Friday up to 52.
Okay, there you go.
But I will say that even a week from today, high of 24, low of 14. Then Tuesday, a week from tomorrow, high of 20, low of 11. That's come on, guys.
That's not what I'm looking for. That is not what I'm looking for around here. I'm good for the one and done on the snow. Keyser, how we doing? What's going on?
Hey, doing good. Joe, why am I happy about the snow just being gone so fast?
Well, no, I'm saying you're the one who might not be because you love wintry weather, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
isn't that your brand?
I enjoyed it for the most part. I mean, when people are afraid to come into work, that's another thing too.
Take a shot at somebody?
Hey, okay.
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, whoever can get in, you know.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Hey.
I felt like Keyser was on the verge of throwing somebody under the bus right there.
I am completely happy if you're talking about us being called a
No, not at all.
Well, tell us who then. Name some names here.
Well, why is it so important to you for me to name?
Well, you're the one that brought it up.
Exactly. You bring it up. Let's go. No one's listening, man. It's 6:02.
Hey, all I'm going to say is I told Robby Stanley this in the press box, and I think I told you in the break room too at the Preds game. When your mommy keeps you home, there's a problem.
Woo!
Just saying.
Man. Jeez.
So, anyway.
Just throwing shots. 6:02 on a Monday. Keyser's already throwing shots.
So you know who he's talking about?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
I have to wait till the break to find this out?
You do?
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Whatever.
Unless he's just going to name. But I guess he's
Maybe
not.
Play a song that might be a hint. You know what I mean?
That could actually throw some different people under the bus.
That's
I played that genre.
Maybe what you need right now. Maybe what you need.
Maybe.
We got a lot to get into on the program here today. Mike Keith, voice of the Tennessee Vols, which is still kind of weird to say, but awesome at the same time, will be with us at 7 o'clock on the program. We'll get his perspective on his life change that he is now making, heading out to Knoxville, becoming the voice of the Tennessee Volunteers. So we'll get his thoughts on that at 7 o'clock. Cory Curtis for his weekly visit at 8 o'clock. We'll get into all things Titans with him. Joe, NFL wildcard weekend. Really, when you look at it, basically went the way that most people expected for the most part, with the exception of the Chargers-Texans. Now, the Chargers were the favorite in that game, and the Texans just blast them, and we'll get more specifically into that game here in just a second. But Justin Herbert not getting that game. Houston wins 32-12. The Ravens dominate the Steelers 28-14. Derrick Henry was unbelievable in that game, 26 carries, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns. Buffalo destroys Denver, which I think we all saw coming. Philadelphia takes down my beloved Green Bay Packers in a game that I'm still upset about, 22-10, the final yesterday. And a great game last night. Commanders taking down Washington 23-20 on the road. And we've got one more wild card game still to come tonight, Minnesota and LA. Joe, your thoughts on wild card weekend, the game that stands out to you the most from this weekend?
Well, I mean, your Packers, sorry about that. I really thought they had, I thought they had, real opportunities to win. Watching that game, and it's like, man, the receivers dropping like flies for the Packers, Nakobe Dean for the Eagles is like, this is the thing, man. You get into this, and it becomes a war of attrition quickly. But the best game was last night, and Jaden Daniels, at Tampa Bay. He was tremendous, man. I tell you what, I don't know if the Commanders are going to beat the Lions. I think they have a real chance to beat the Lions, but I think we're seeing the start of a special career. I really do. I think Jaden Daniels is is going to be a superstar in this league, because it's just, I mean, when he needs to rip one into a tight window, he does. And it's not perfect, but I mean, big time, go back to like the winning touchdown against the Eagles and some of the other plays he made. Yeah, you get the Hail Mary against the Bears. Okay, fine. But some of these plays he makes, and then when it comes down to it, he's so hard to tackle. I think that's one of my big takeaways from the weekend. Another takeaway, Robby, is that, Jim Harbaugh does not have as much success against C.J. Stroud when he doesn't have Connor Stallions on the sideline with him. I have to note that, because, of course, last time you saw C.J. Stroud was the stunning game at Ohio State, after which then you see the video of, like, Connor Stallions whispering in Jesse Minder's ear before every play. Okay. But that was, I tell you what, big deal for the Texans. They've looked just like they've been looking. Terrible on offense. Nothing going on. All their defense is great. They're keeping them in there. And then you get that one play where Stroud drops the ball, has to pick it up, rips one over the middle of the field, and it's like the game completely flipped from there. And Justin Herbert, man, I mean, if you want to talk about a QB who deserves some crap, and I know he's taken some previously, but like, it's a real question now, the way he played in that game. A couple of those picks just blew my mind. He threw 3 all year.
That's the thing. Like, he took care of the ball all year. And then in a game like that, where you've got to have it, it didn't go well. And, look, Justin Herbert, I still think is a really good quarterback. But I've said it before here on the show. I think he has been elevated to a spot that he has not earned yet in this league. Yeah. And that was another reminder of that on Saturday, that he's still got some work to do before you start talking about him in the vein that some people have talked about him as like a top 5 quarterback. I'm like, oh, we slow down a little bit on the top 5 quarterback stuff.
Right. Like, he'll make plays when he runs around, and he'll make some throws that are like, okay, how many people ever who've played the game can do that? So I get that. But yeah, I agree. I think he's been a little bit too elevated. And it's just a big deal for the Texans. It's been a pretty disappointing year. You win this terrible division. Congratulations.
Yep.
But I think a lot of people had them just one and done quickly. And what did Rex Rant say? He said something really disrespectful. Something like, I don't know. Like,
it was like Chargers to have a bye week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a bye week.
Congrats
for
to the Chargers for the bye week.
Yeah, exactly. Although, also, I'm the best candidate for the Jets. Hire me, Jets, please. Yeah.
I would like to beat Mike Vrabel twice a year.
But I tell you what, I'm super excited. I mean, this is the great weekend coming up, right? Yep. It's because I think the Texans have a chance. I don't know how many people are going to give them a chance, and I wouldn't pick them, but I do. I think they have a chance. With Nico Collins and with Mixon, the way he's running, and Stroud gets that burst of confidence, that defense is going to go in there. Like Stingley, he is good player. You can't tell me a great cornerback doesn't matter for you. I mean, he is a problem. And obviously they've got the pass rush. I saw Danico Autry lighten up Herbert the other day. So, and obviously, I mean, the best game of the weekend is Bills Ravens. And by the way, I guess we can get to that because Derrick Henry is an absolute superstar. I mean, I think it's already over anyway, but if in case it wasn't, 182 yards in a playoff game, and now I think he's tied for 6th in all-time playoff rush. He is such a lock first ballot Hall of Famer now.
He's getting all of it.
Absolutely done. And I don't know. I know for some Titans fans, well, probably most Titans fans, seeing him in a Ravens uniform alone is just got to be brutal. But can you not root for him? Is that the?
I mean, look, you do whatever you want. I understand if you're a Titans fan, it'd be pretty hard to root for the Ravens.
For the Ravens, yeah.
Particularly if you're a Titans fan that have been around for a long time.
Yeah. No, I get it. I know, and I don't want to, don't want to get Kahursky all mad. Don't you dare root for them! How dare you! But if there's ever an exception to make, it would seem to be this. That they are Ravens Bills.
It's going to be awesome.
A Super Bowl level game. Ravens Bills is a Super Bowl quality game in the divisional round of the playoffs. I mean, my goodness, I can't wait for that game.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. The Commanders, like you said, they take down the Buccaneers. Tonight's game, I'm really intrigued by. Look, Minnesota's been great all year. Darnold was really bad last time out against the Lions, so can he bounce back from that? And look, the Rams have gotten healthy and have been sneaky good. So I'm interested to see what that game looks like tonight. You know, when they've got obviously Stafford, but particularly those two receivers healthy at the same time, and Kupp and Nakua, they're just different. And they weren't earlier in the year. And when those guys are all healthy at the same time, they're a pretty darn good offensive football team.
They are. No, it's going to be really interesting. And yeah, I think either of those teams, again, I think the Commanders have a chance against the Lions. That Lions defense, the Lions offense better be freaking elite in that game because they are going to give up points. I think the Vikings or Rams have a chance at Philly. I do.
Yep.
Philly, again, we're going back to your Packers. I'm sorry. There was a long stretch of that game where they had absolutely nothing going offensively.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I guess you could talk about Russ and all that stuff, but they're losing to Kobe Dean. I think that either of those teams could go in there and beat them.
A lot of work to do in the offseason for the Pack.
Yeah, so you need an edge rusher, huh?
Need an edge rusher, need a corner, and now everybody wants T. Higgins. We'll see how that goes. But, yeah, a lot of work to do in the offseason.
God, I feel like if you have a healthy receiving core of what they have, it's pretty good.
They need a 1. Problem is he's not a 1, I don't think, Higgins.
Why can't Jaden Reed be a 1?
Well,
he's a 2.
I think he's a really good
2. Good 2, yeah.
So, a lot of work to do in the offseason. We'll see if my fearless leader, Matt LaFleur, can get things figured out in the offseason.
Ed says, remember, Robby, you could be a Titans fan.
I am a Titans fan. They're just my number 2 team.
so Robby's just miserable.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing up more misery, Ed.
they're just number 2 on the list. So
they are number 2.
Yeah. Thank you. Another thing happened yesterday, Joe. I don't know if you saw this, but the former Titans head coach now has a job in the worst kept secret in the National Football League.
Really?
Yeah. We'll get
into that. Hunt? Who are we
Wizard
talking here, Malarkey?
Couldn't believe it. We'll get into that and your reaction to that as Titans fans coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Mike Vrabel, officially hired by the New England Patriots yesterday. John, I was sitting there in church, and I got like 25 text messages, and I was like, is everything okay?
Uh-oh.
Did somebody die?
What's going on here? Right.
And so I finally, looked at my phone in church like the good kid should.
It's okay.
I was like, it's just Vrabel getting hired. Okay. Everybody's good.
Right.
Like, to me, this is the worst kept secret in the NFL. And now it's official. Vrabel, the next head coach of the New England Patriots. I believe his press conference is taking place later this morning. So I will be intrigued by that to see what Vrabel has to say up there in New England. But your thoughts now that it is official on Mike Vrabel becoming the next head coach of the New England Patriots.
Don't feel bad about looking at your phone at church. I'm constantly telling, hey, Katie, we're at church. Thanks. 6:18. No one's listening, right?
That's right.
Taking shots. Well, yeah, look, this is how we figured it would turn out. There's a lot of dumb discourse that follows this, including like the idea that like this was the plan all along. This is Robert Kraft's master plan all along. Gerard Mayo for a year, and then there it is. Just give him the year, and then we take Vrabel. And again, remember, folks, the Harbster got the Chargers job. Vrabel very nearly did. Vrabel easily could have gotten another job. This is just how it worked out. But it worked out pretty well, I'd say, for the Patriots. And it's going to be fascinating. I think, if you're Vrabel, yes, of course, it's the Patriots. It's where it's the place that gave him a chance to be an NFL player who's stuck in the league. I mean, he was a fringe player in Pittsburgh who drafted him out of Ohio State. Patriots, he's part of a dynasty, obviously. Someone threw up a cut up of all of his TD catches this week. Dude, he had that one diving one in the back.
Pretty good.
Holy crap.
Athlete.
Impressive, Vrabel. But it's just going to be fascinating. And I mean, to me, it just makes the league more interesting to have him as a head coach. And look, Kraft hasn't had success really much without Tom Brady. Neither did Belichick in his career. Now we're going to see if Vrabel can get this done. But I think the biggest reason, forget all that stuff about the Patriots. To me, like the biggest reason that job has the edge, and I know Diana Rossini and others were reporting that the Bears and Jets were really aggressive in trying to, they were aggressively trying to, pursue him here is the quarterback. It's Drake May. And I don't know, where he's going to end up. I don't know if he's going to be a great quarterback, but there's a lot of promise there. And that, to me, is why when you're Vrabel looking at the possibilities, why that one stands out.
Well, if he doesn't work, you've got Milton right behind him. So, I mean, there's a lot to work with at the quarterback position if you're Vrabel heading to the Patriots. I'm with you on that. I don't think this was the plan the whole time. My follow-up question to that, though, would be, all right, when did it become the plan? Because he didn't get a job last cycle.
Yeah.
And I do wonder how much that influenced what we saw with Gerard Mayo.
Now, I think that's fair for sure.
The record was what it was with the Patriots. They were bad, but nobody expected them to be good this year. So, I realize, there were some comments that Mayo had in the media essentially earlier this year talking about, well, I mean, look, I don't know what I can do to help them when they're out there. Like they're playing. And that went over really poorly in Boston. So I understand that. But I do wonder, at what point did Robert Kraft and the Kraft family look at this and say, well, Vrabel's out there. Let's go attack this.
Yeah.
I mean, this could be our only shot to go get him. Was that a few weeks ago? Was that at the start of the year where they're like, yeah, let's just get through this year and let's go get Mike Vrabel? I don't know what the answer to that is, but I do wonder when those conversations started to take place.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think that. I'm just saying, again, last year, that's what some people are saying.
Yeah, the idea that this was their plan the whole time. You can have that plan, but you're taking a leap of faith that he wasn't going to get a job last year.
Yeah. And again, this idea that you're just going to, let's throw a season away. I think you're right. At some point this season, it probably, became apparent, he may not be ready for this, right? But also, even if you're okay, I could see him developing as a coach and end up being fine. Again, you have Vrabel right there. So you have the appeal of Gerard Mayo. Obviously, he's a Patriot, which shouldn't be, how often does that even work out? That you have the former great player
Not very.
But still, like, he understands the culture, and he's a defensive guy, and he's a culture guy, and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, that's the type of coach that they want. Well, they have this guy who actually has won in the NFL, who has demonstrated the ability to do it. So yes, I agree. Like, some point this year, it was probably like, okay, I mean, there's nothing right now that's that exciting or great that's happening with Mayo. Maybe there's some issues, but regardless, you can upgrade right now. And if you don't upgrade right now, Vrabel will go somewhere else, and then that's just not, it's not happening.
Yeah.
So they got him.
They got him, and now it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, look, I look at that roster, and I'm with you on the quarterback. Like, Drake May showed some promise. Now, did Drake May show enough to me this year to convince me that he's just a dude moving forward? No. Like, there's still a lot I've got to see from Drake May, but there was certainly promise there. I do look at the rest of the roster right now and say they got a lot of work to do with that roster. Like, their receiving core is not good. Their defense is okay, but I still think there's a lot of work left to be done with that roster in terms of personnel. So how big of an instant impact is Mike Vrabel going to make? What sort of work can they do in one offseason to upgrade it? They got a ton of money to spend. I mean, they got over $100 million in cap space. So there's a lot of money that they've got available to them to spend. And then if Drake May is a guy that is going to be a pretty good quarterback in this league, how quickly can Vrabel get them to be in a spot where they're right there with the Bills in the AFC East? Can he do that? Like, can he get them to a spot where they're right there with the Bills in the AFC East?
Yeah. I mean, first get them to that 9-7 or whatever, 9-8, 10-7 range, and right in the wild card mix, I mean, to compete with the Bills, just Josh Allen's playing at such a high level.
Yeah.
What have you got?
David in Arkansas on the text line asked, who gets fired this time when Vrabel comes into Nissan and spanks the goalpost? They do play the Tennessee Titans next year, which we're going to talk about here in just a second. But
they do here.
Yeah.
So that's got, I mean, NFL, you got to make that I saw Chase tweeted like it's going to be like the second week Thursday night or something like that, maybe.
Probably.
I'm here for that. What about, actually, you know what Vrabel should do is he should go back to that Bum Phillips cowboy hat.
He should. Just walk out.
Wear it on the other sideline.
Just wave up to Amy. How's that going up there?
I mean, my goodness, talk about a game that for ownership with the Titans is going to be very important to not lose.
I would advise Brian Callahan to win that game.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you win that game, Brian Callahan, you might just buy yourself two years, no matter what happens after that. So, no, it's the thing. It's like, Drake May is such a big part of it. And also, so who's going to be the OC? I know some people have been speculating about Shane Bowen, but Shane Bowen, you're Vrabel, you can't go do that. You can't steal a guy for a lateral move. And Shane Bowen, I believe, will be back with the Giants as D coordinator. But Josh McDaniels, is Josh McDaniels the answer for Drake May? And if you're a Patriots fan, any Patriots fans listening, because look, Josh McDaniels, total tire fire as a head coach. I mean, he was very successful as OC. Was he successful as OC because he brought Tom Brady his egg and bagel sandwich in the morning? I don't know.
Yeah, like I understand he was a successful offensive coordinator. I think it's pretty easy to be a successful offensive coordinator when you've got Tom Brady. That's just my original thought on the matter.
Yeah.
If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm saying, Josh, we love you. Appreciate the good times. Vrabel, do not hire him. That would be my approach if I'm the Patriots.
I would think that most Patriots fans would feel that way. But look, that's gonna be really. He could quickly have Patriots fans mad at him.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're celebrating now, but that would be one move that could make that happen. But that hire is so important for him. I know. If you'd like to fire LaFleur, right? So maybe
LaFleur go be the OC.
LaFleur and Vrabel reunited. What
maybe
do you think?
So. I'm sure Vrabel really loved LaFleur for that one year that he was here. Their personalities seemed to really match.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was fine, but yeah,
I'm sure it was fine.
It was a lot of the Packers hired LaFleur to be head coach?
Like, wow. How about that?
He's done pretty well, in case you haven't noticed.
Yes. A lot of things he's got to get better at. What do you think what do you think of the Ryan Cowden part of this, joining him in New England?
Yeah, so I think Charles had that yesterday.
He did.
Here's what I think. congratulations to Ryan Cowden. I think it's a good move for him to get away from the Giants.
Yep.
And I'd like to publicly request, Ryan, that you do not move your family up to New England because your son's going to catch a lot of touchdowns the next couple of years for Nolensville Knights. Just keep that in mind. Think of the Knights.
Just make sure you've got that at the top of your mind, Ryan. Can't be moving the family.
That's right.
Nolensville football, very important.
Yeah, he's got some wheels, man. He's got some wheels. I don't know if Ryan could run like that in college, but his kid's got some wheels. But no, it's good. It's a good move for him. And look, Ryan Cowden is going to be at some point, probably not in the too distant future, to me, the GM of the New England Patriots.
Yes.
Vrabel and Cowden obviously worked well together here. A lot of respect for each other, and I think that's inevitable.
Yep.
Sorry, Elliot Wolf.
Good luck to you, buddy. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Mike Vrabel, hired by the New England Patriots. We'll take your thoughts on that. What do you make of that move? How successful do you think Vrabel will be in New England? And how important is it for the Titans that he's not? We'll get into that coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, broadcasting from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home with a $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Mike Vrabel, hired in New England. He'll have his press conference later this morning, I believe at 11 a.m. our time. So be interested in that. See how that goes. Media darling, Mike Vrabel, back with the media.
I really feel like Koharski should consider, maybe, taking paulkoharski.com up to there for like a year maybe. In the life of Mike Vrabel. What do you think?
Well, how could he carry water for Chad Brinker up in New England? That's what some people would ask.
Hey man, you can still write poems to Chad Brinker from there. Fine.
We still get texts about that. Koharski carrying any water for Brinker today?
Can't wait to have him in this week so we can make more fun of him for that.
Keep it coming on the text line. Mike in Lebanon, who will be better in 3 years, the Patriots or the Titans? 3 years is a long time in the NFL, as evidenced by 3 years ago at this very moment. The Titans were the 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. And boy, have things fallen off ever since then, Joe Rexrode. Good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I have no idea who are the Titans getting at quarterback. Who is the next Titans quarterback? Are they drafting him this year? Are they drafting him next year? Are they signing him, trading for him? I think with I think with Drake May, Vrabel's got a chance here to have a pretty good situation. But he's got his hires will be very interesting.
His hires will be very interesting, and this is an opportunity for him to mold and develop a young quarterback. And, we talked about this a lot when he was here. Was he the head coach to do that? Now, look, obviously, Vrabel's the head coach. I think who he hires both at offensive coordinator and at quarterback coach is going to be really important here. Like they need to find somebody that can bring out whatever the best version of Drake May is. So we'll see what that looks like here. From a Titans fan perspective, I saw a lot of this when he was hired yesterday of, man, he's going to go and they're just immediately going to be good. And Vrabel is going to lead the Patriots back to the playoffs. He's eventually going to make them into a Super Bowl contender. And we're going to be stuck here waving our fists in the air, looking at Amy and saying, why did you ever fire Mike Vrabel? And maybe that's the way this plays out. We'll see. I don't know. Like, I think Mike Vrabel's a really good coach. We've talked about it many times here on the show. I thought the Titans made a mistake in firing him, but they did it. And that's water under the bridge at this point. I am interested to see, number one, like Robert Kraft in this situation. How patient are they going to be? Because like I said, I think there's a lot of work still left to be done with this Patriots roster. And I don't know that you can do that all in one off season. So how patient is he willing to be? And two, if you're Vrabel, like what did you learn from the Titans experience that's going to be different in New England? Because you look, as good of a coach as I think Mike Vrabel is, I mean, he was not blameless towards the end of his Titans tenure, right? I mean, the
Sure.
win-loss record started to go the other way. Now, was that all on him? Was that on the roster deteriorating? Like, there's a combination of a lot of things there. But I think he made some bad hires on the offensive side of the ball. And I think at times, maybe his stubbornness got in his own way a little bit. So what did you learn from the Titans experience that's going to be different this time around in New England? I don't think he's going to be totally different. I don't think he's going to be a lot different. I don't think he needs to be a lot different. But I do think the offensive part of this and the kind of the way that you go about doing your business probably needs to change a little bit if you're Vrabel.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, look, he came in and took over a team that had just won a playoff game, was a good roster. And, then his first year went 9-7, didn't make the playoffs. So, I mean, there were ups and downs from game 2 with him. An incredible coaching job, finding a way to win that game against the Texans with like nobody on the offensive line and all that stuff. But also they had way too many losses to teams that they should have beat.
Yep.
I mean, both of those were the Vrabel special. Now, they were more good than bad there, but there were plenty of like, how the heck did they lose that game when they just had 3 straight incredible wins over top teams? It's going to be really interesting to see where it all goes. And I still look at Vrabel's tenure, And I just, again, it's like with Belichick. Do we think Belichick's the greatest coach of all time? Okay, well, look at his record with and without Brady. Like when Vrabel had Derrick Henry, I would say in his prime, but I guess his prime is just forever because he's still running 22 miles an hour and just destroying people. But Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, Tannehill, well, he had an offense here scoring 31 points a game. He had a good OC. He hired a good OC, but is that going to continue? I mean, it's still, to me, one, it's so much about your players more than it is about coaches. It's always going to be about Jimmy's and Joe's, but he is good. And I'll be very surprised if they're not solid and right in the mix to get playoff bids here real soon, and probably sooner than the Titans, which is not going to be fun for Titans fans. But I don't know that like all of a sudden he's going to win a Lombardi and you guys are going to be sitting here with a terrible team in 3 years. It just, tell me who that quarterback's going to be. Who's the next quarterback for the Titans?
Yeah, exactly. Like, and look, Vrabel, you are in that division, and Josh Allen is in the way, and that's a pretty lofty standard to compete with, right? Like you've got Josh Allen, and look, I know the tire fire of the New York Jets is in your division too, so we'll see what they end up doing with their coach and quarterback and all that. But the path for that division is going to be really difficult. Like Josh Allen ain't going anywhere, and Josh Allen's going to be around for a long time. So can you overcome that if you're the Patriots and Vrabel in your own division? And if not, you're looking at the whole AFC. If you're the Titans, you got to deal with this too. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks, right? Like I saw somebody tweet this yesterday, and it's kind of funny to think about. It's like the AFC is like the quarterback gold mine, and the NFC is like where the rosters really elevate the quarterbacks. I mean, we've seen a lot of that throughout the league this year. Now it's cyclical in the league, and that's not always going to be the case. But like if you're Vrabel looking at this right now, Diana Rossini put this out there yesterday. A lot of teams aggressively pursuing Vrabel, right? Like the Bears were all over Vrabel. The Jets obviously wanted Mike Vrabel. I think he took an interview with the Saints as well, if I'm not mistaken. But a lot of he was the number one coaching candidate in this cycle. So beyond the obvious of the connection with Robert Kraft, was this the best situation for Vrabel? I've seen some people say yes. I've seen some people saying, no, Chicago looks like it could be a pretty good situation. Where do you come down on that?
Look, I mean, I think Caleb Williams, I guess if I had to bet, I'd still go Caleb Williams over Drake May in terms of having the better career. I'm not sure about that, but that's just what I would say right now. But to me, then the tiebreaker there is the ownership, right? He knows Kraft. Kraft is stable. That organization, yes, Brady leads the way, most important thing of all the things they had. But they had a lot of other good things in place. And the Bears are just,
they're dumpster fire.
Yeah, they're still very questionable at the highest level. So I think that's why it was the right choice. It was the number one choice. It was close, but like if the Patriots didn't have a QB that you like, then I think you go for the QB. But they do have a QB.
Well, as Vrabel has said before, it's not like that everywhere. It's not like that everywhere in New England.
Yeah, I was going to do this for my rant, but I mean, if you want to,
I'm just throwing it out there. That's what he said.
He did.
He said it ain't like this everywhere.
I need to do an intelligence test with people because I mean, is Big Joe is he just messing with me?
I don't think so.
I think he. Dude, I can't even get into this right now. It's so dumb.
Like, we'll save it.
I mean, these people. Yeah, save it. I don't even. I'm flustered right now.
We'll
so
save
freaking stupid.
You have to tune into the Rex Rant.
Okay.
At 7:45, which I'm now very much looking forward to. We'll take more of your thoughts on Mike Vrabel to the New England Patriots. Mike Keith will be with us at 7 o'clock. Looking forward to that coming up here in about 18-ish minutes or so. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, our phone number. Mike Keith, voice of the Tennessee Volunteers, will be with us at 7 o'clock. It'll take me some time to get used to
it. Is
that.
a little. It is.
It's a little shocking.
It's a little strange. Yeah.
I'm sure it is to him as well. We'll get into that coming up at 7 o'clock with Mike Keith. Vrabel to the New England Patriots, taking your thoughts on that on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. A lot of people pointing out the Patriots have 9 draft picks this year, so some good draft capital that they're going to have the opportunity to spend. They do have a lot of money to spend with the salary cap as well, so you can change the roster around. As Ty pointed out on the text line, if the Titans can check every box in one offseason, why can't the Patriots? It's a good question thrown out there by Ty. A lot of checking the boxes that I think even with Rand Carthon being fired, I'm not sure is going away anytime soon. How many times will checking the boxes come up this offseason, Joe?
Yeah, hopefully often. I know we'll bring it up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Brad Forrest in the YouTube chat says, NWI, you're a Patriot. Well, that could be. That very well could be.
Ben Jones coming out of retirement. I have to get to New England.
Oh, man. Yeah, who else? Who are Vrabel's favorites? Yeah. Well, I mean, but Ben Jones, but then what's he going to do with Aaron Brewer? Ben Jones and Aaron Brewer both going to play center?
Yeah, a lot of centers. You never have too many centers out there.
Tough as a $2 steak, those guys. Who else you got? NWI.
Tannehill coming out to back up Drake May. Joe, you just take a seat.
Man.
We don't need you. We got Ryan Tannehill now.
Yeah, don't mess that up, Vrabel. You got Joe Milton on your side. Also, Brad on the text line says, by the way, that he heard that Kaharski drove Brinker in the snow day Friday.
That's good.
Carrying his water,
citizen.
chauffeuring him. This is great. Good job, Kaharski.
It is very, very good. I do wonder, like, if you're Amy Adams Strunk, because I've talked about this before. I think part of the problem that the Titans find themselves in right now is the reactionary decisions that she's made, and then the unwillingness to just look at the picture and say, you know what, maybe I screwed up here. Now, you can't like unfire Vrabel, right? So I understand that. And look, maybe in her mind, she doesn't feel like she made a mistake firing Mike Vrabel. We're going to find out. We'll see how good or not good Vrabel is at his next spot here. But I will say, the way that it is all played out since he got fired has worked out really nicely for Mike Vrabel, right? I mean, he was the belle of the ball in this year's coaching search, clearly.
Yep.
The Titans without him have gone 3-14. They've got a mess at ownership. And look, does that mean that he was the answer here and that everything else around him, he was just holding it up on his back? Not necessarily. But the way that this has worked out for Vrabel has looked pretty nice over the last year. Gets paid by Amy Adams Strunk to do nothing, and then is the belle of the ball for the coaching search this year, and ends up in a spot where I think he clearly wanted to be, in New England.
Yeah. No, look, he takes it here, gets paid a ton of money by the owner who fired him here, and gets to race Jameis Winston and stuff like that and mess around, go back home, and then he gets this job. That turned out pretty well for him. And we'll see how it turns out from here. There's a lot of pressure. I mean, there's a lot of expectation for him, and I don't know. I'm more good than bad for sure. I think he's a very good coach. I don't know that he's like a coach that can, he can do more with less, but how much more with how much less?
Right.
I mean, he's still – so Drake May is going to tell the story of his tenure there more than anything, and I don't know how that's going to turn out, but it's going to be – again, the league is more interesting now, and it's just another thing here. I mean, Titans fans watching Derrick Henry run for 182.
Yep.
Then yesterday they're watching A.J. Brown, read a chapter or two on the sideline as his Eagles win a playoff game. So,
looks like an interesting book.
Like, we have a real chance of Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown meeting in the Super Bowl. That's a very real possibility, I believe. And then now you throw in Vrabel here in your conference for the next few years.
But at least Amy's not paying him anymore. Don't have to worry about paying Mike Vrabel anymore.
That's right.
It's a good day for her.
Which is good because she just gave Rand Carthon a 4-year extension and is paying him to not work for her. So good stuff.
There is that.
You needed that.
Head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line and welcome in Chad to the program. Chad, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, morning. Good stuff, fellas. I'm curious what you all think about J.J. McCarthy. I know that before he got hurt in Minnesota at training camp, mini camp and training camp, they thought they were sitting on a superstar, and then they pivot, of course, to Sam Darnold, who's having a heck of a run, who they could potentially pay. Is that something – now, Minnesota's not just going to – you'd have to kind of prop him away if the Titans came in, their new GM, and thought that they would want to build around a young superstar quarterback if they truly believed he is. I believe he's going to be a superstar. I think he's going to be the next big deal at the quarterback. And I'm more so than the average person. I think the NFL is a quarterback league, more so than the average person would actually think. So I'm all about quarterback before, like, I don't care what your roster looks like until you get that young quarterback. I'll build around that. Question is this. Would you overpay for J.J. McCarthy? Would you give up that number 2 pick and more? Your thoughts?
Yep. Thanks for the call, Chad. I would not, and I don't think Minnesota is going to be interested in it. From what we talked about, we brought this up with Charles Robinson. It doesn't sound like there's really any hurry to move on from J.J. McCarthy from the Minnesota part of this. Number one, what's going to happen with Darnold, right? So let's say Darnold goes out tonight.
Tonight's huge.
And they lose and he doesn't play well. Well, you're talking about back-to-back games to end the season where he was awful against Detroit. And if he's bad again tonight, well, how does that influence what you're going to do with him moving forward there? You probably still bring him back next year, but is it under a franchise tag?
Yeah.
And if it's under a franchise tag, it'd probably be nice to have J.J. McCarthy kind of waiting in the wings just in case it doesn't go well with Sam Darnold next year.
Yeah, it's really an interesting situation because but before the Lions game, I actually was like, every week you want this guy. And But then, man, they had him happy feeding again against a defense that has half its starters out. And if he plays poorly tonight and they lose, that's going to be such a fascinating situation for them. But I think either way, McCarthy, like, you got to hold on to him. But if they lose, he plays poorly tonight, you're still talking about, let's see, 14-4.
Yeah, exactly.
When 14
you're
of
bringing
18
it back.
games with him. Yes. But even more so, I think you're like, this still could be kind of short term.
To the other part of it, I don't know how good J.J. McCarthy is. Like, he's not played a down in the league. So, like, no, I would not give up the number 1 pick to go get him. I mean, no chance.
No. An unproven guy coming off an ACL. Talented, no doubt. I mean, I think he could be very good, but I don't know that at all.
And by the way, the Titans, if they thought he was that good, they had a chance to draft him last year, by the way. Now, I know they had Will Levis, but if you thought he was that good, I think you would at least taken a look at it if you were Brian Callahan and that staff, right?
Yeah, of course the GM's gone now. So
there's that.
Maybe Rand held him back.
Maybe
the other guys wanted to make that decision, and Rand said no. Put his foot down.
Exercise that.
Let
final
me
say.
cook by myself.
Maybe so. Yeah, I would imagine J.J. McCarthy's still going to be in Minnesota next year, and we'll see if at some point he starts or if this is going to be the Sam Darnold show from here on. I mean, look, the other, I brought up the worst case scenario for the Vikings tonight. The other side is he plays well tonight, they win, they go on a deep playoff run, and do they have to think about signing him to a long-term deal this offseason? That's still on the table too, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if it gets him to the Super Bowl, I mean, geez, what more do you need to see? Real quick to the caller there. I mean, I hear you. I mean, it is interesting, like you said, Robby, the difference. You got the elite quarterbacks on one side and not on the other side. But I mean, let's look at the NFC. I mean, the Vikings went 14-3 with a retread quarterback. Stafford is older. That team's playing tonight. Goff, retread, giving up on quarterback. I mean, I think the NFC kind of tells us, doesn't it? I mean, Hurts taken at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the NFC does tell us that if you have a great roster, you can run the ball, you have weapons, you can play defense. You don't have to have that quarterback.
Right. Well, and you could also, you can find those quarterbacks later. You bring up Jalen Hurts. I mean, it just depends on the draft, but
Lamar Jackson
end of the
first
late.
round.
Brock Purdy was really late. Jordan Love was in the 20s in the first round. Like you can find high-level quarterback play later. It just kind of depends on each draft and your scouting department and all that stuff.
And a lot of these guys they were high,
Yeah.
but then they were given up on.
Exactly.
And they've come back.
Well, and then the point also remains of like you don't pick a quarterback at number 1 overall just for the sake of picking a quarterback at number 1 overall. You better believe with your entire heart that one of those guys is going to end up being really, really good.
Yes. But sometimes you just talk yourself into it.
I know.
And that may happen.
It might. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Mike Keith will join us on the program coming up next. Voice of the Tennessee Volunteers. Looking forward to that conversation. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keys are here with you on this Monday morning. We head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in the legendary Mike Keith to the program, voice of the Tennessee Vols, which is weird for me to say. Mike, is that weird for you to hear? How we doing? What's going on this morning?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the show. It's certainly new. But pleased to hear it and excited to get the day started, get to Knoxville and get to work.
Yep, absolutely. So, Mike, obviously, Tennessee fans just are thrilled and really excited about this news. I'm just curious from you, when did this all kind of start to come together? And when the moment came and you realized that this was happening and you were going to do this, what kind of went through your mind when you thought about heading back to a place that you love in Tennessee?
Well, I think at the moment it sort of formulated was when they kind of laid out what the job was going to be. And they had a really good idea for what it is. And, at that point, you have to take everything out about the emotion of it and the emotion for how you feel. That's one of the reasons you're interested, and you think to yourself, okay, this would be something kind of special. But then you're like, okay, how would this work? And what would they want me to do? And does that fit what I can do or what I can't do? And they laid it out really well. They made it really clear about where they think they're going with everything. What they want this role to be. Then I told them some things that I was interested in about the role, and they were like, that's exactly how we're thinking. And it was just really from the start, very professionally handled by them. And they had a plan. They were very professionally timed, 2 simple words to illustrate how they were towards me about it. They made it clear that they thought that I could be a person who could help them and that I would be somebody that would really fit what they wanted to do. And they felt like the fan base would be pleased if I chose to come back. And, flattery will get you everywhere. But at the same time, it was also about what they're doing right now there and how they see this role kind of being just one piece of the puzzle, not a major piece or, anything in between, just a piece. And it's a great situation at a great time. And so when you put it all together, you say to yourself, is this something you want to do? You say, do I want to try this? And I just said to myself, yeah, I want to give it a go. I think this is something that I would really like to try.
Mike, was there any talk at all or any consideration about the possibility of you still calling Titans games and then and doing the Vols games? Did that ever come up in discussion?
Very minorly. I mean, it was mentioned at one point, but not really.
Then, so for people who don't know, obviously Titans fans know you as the voice of the Titans, but you are heavily involved in so many other aspects of the organization. I mean, you are much more than I know, but I know that you are in everything, right? Like you are all over the place, and you are, promoting the franchise, and you're there for fans in a lot of different ways. I assume it's the same sort of idea. Like, what sort of things beyond calling football and men's basketball will you do with Tennessee?
Well, the reason I got hired here in the first place in 1998 was because my background was not just on air, but was in sales and marketing as well. I got hired more for that than I did for broadcasting. And so I've always worked with the sponsorship team. I've always worked with our ticketing folks a lot, doing promotional things for them and doing things related to that. Obviously do things with what would be called today the creative team in terms of coming up with ideas for, different features and things of that sort. So you're right. I've always kind of had my hands in a lot of different things. And that's the idea here too. At Tennessee, they have the added element of the SEC network involvement. And all 16 schools in the Southeastern Conference have their own branch SEC network office. When we turn on the SEC network, Joe, what we generally see are football and basketball. That's basically it. And the ESPN portion of that will put on the Saturday football games and the basketball games that we see. But there are also other elements, other sports that are done from the university itself. And then it's a whole group of people, too, who then work with the main SEC network, or ESPN, as it really is at that point, to facilitate a football broadcast and things of that sort. So, there's a complete operation involved there, and I'm going to be involved in some of that and working with the students. Having the opportunity to work with the students will be something that will be a lot of fun for me. I know a bunch from here that have gone up there and done very well, and I'm looking forward to having that opportunity to be with them, maybe teach. That's been mentioned at one point. That's not on the front burner because obviously year one is going to be so much learning. I'm going to try not to really dive too deeply into everything eventually I want to do, but that's an exciting part of it potentially.
Well, Mike, we talked on the show after this all came out just about your personal journey and the impact that you've had on this city and the listeners here. I'm just curious from your standpoint, as you think about heading back to Tennessee, what does this move mean to you personally as you're kind of looking at the decision that you've made here and maybe some of the reasoning behind it beyond just the obvious of the job itself?
I'm really excited about it, and I'm also scared to death. And I think you need both things in your life. I think it's like when I said a moment ago about deciding, I think I just want to go do this. Some people have these bucket list things that they think about, I want to jump out of an airplane. I want to, climb a mountain or do those sorts of things. For me, when I sat and I thought about it, it came down to, if I don't do this, will I regret it? If I don't do this, will I stop and spend a lot of time wondering what could be? And we're at a point in our lives, and I'm speaking about Michelle and myself, where our kids are grown. So we don't have to worry about moving the family during the school year, things of that sort. The timing contractually was perfect. Everything just sort of added up in that way to where I really felt like I was getting a lot of signs in my life that it just made a lot of sense. And to take on a new challenge at this point in your life, like I said, it's exciting and it's terrifying. I would be 100% lying if I said, well, and listen, doing professional football games, I mean, I was still basically terrified 5 minutes before kickoff anyway, every single game, because you sit there and about 5 minutes before kickoff, you're like, how do I do this again? You're just, because you're afraid you'll go on the air and say something like, I've forgotten totally how this works, or I've forgotten the names of all of our players and all of those sorts of things. But I think you need challenge. And I think you also realize when you're at something that feels complete, I think the people that I work with did an amazing job this season, guys, of getting through what was not just a rough year, but was a rough couple of years. And they, I felt like we represented the organization well with our end of how we did it. I was very proud of them. I was very proud of what we did. And so it just felt like, okay, this is a moment that feels like this ride can end and another ride can begin. And so here we go.
One of the things that came up after this was announced, Mike, was your eulogy for John Ward, which was tremendous. I'm just wondering if there's one thing that you learned from him, that the most important thing that you took into your broadcasting career, what would it be?
I've said many times, Joe, that it was obviously the preparation. And I've said that 900 times, that it's the preparation. If there's one thing outside of that, it's that there's some showbiz involved in this. This is fun. People listen to this because they care, but you need to put some things in it that make them want to listen to how you tell the story. And so for him, it was different because he was like wildly smart and incredibly well-read. And he had the background of growing up listening to games on the radio in the 30s and the 40s and listening to other programs on the radio because there was no television. And so he could tell that old time type of story based on how he had listened to it. Obviously, I don't have that. I grew up with television. So I'm naturally not as good in that area. But I love what I do, and I pour myself into it. And sometimes I think it's way too much, but it is who I am. We did the game 8 days ago that didn't mean anything, right? I mean, it didn't.
Yep.
And yet I was still thrilled to be there because I'm like, dang, I'm calling an NFL football game. This is just so cool. And that's the way I feel about it. And that's the way I'm going to feel about walking in to Mercedes-Benz Stadium on August 30th to call Tennessee Syracuse. It's going to be a really big deal to me, and it'll be a big deal the next week when we play East Tennessee State at Neyland Stadium. And so I think and that's what he said. And Joe, you remember this. We talked about it when John died, about the fact that he made pretty clear to me that I got to do what I do, and I got to do it how I do it. And that was sort of the hardest part of that journey away from him, was figuring out who you are and then being able to really put that out for people on the radio, because that's hard. Because some people are going to go, man, you suck. And that never feels good. It never does. But if you don't do that, then you can't really do the best that you can. You can't because we all have a certain limit. It's like, this is the best you can do. And that was the thing that he taught me, is that you've got to really be willing to put it all out there and understand that you're not just calling a game, you're telling a story, and how you tell the story is something that the audience gets involved with. And they either like that or they don't. And that's okay. I mean, that's 100% their right, but you've got to go all the way with it. You have to.
Yep, no doubt about it. Well, Mike, congratulations on this. We appreciate so much you taking time to be with us this morning. It's been awesome to watch the comments on our show that have come in about just how universally beloved that you are. So congratulations on the job well done with the Tennessee Titans, and very much looking forward to the next step with the Vols here.
Well, Robby and Joe, thanks very much for having me on the program. And let's see what the next chapter looks like. I'm interested to see myself when I get in the car this morning.
I was going to say, you're driving over there today, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we got work to do.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Now, remember, this is the better time zone, Mike.
There's no doubt. That's one of the 3 or 4 biggest regrets, is Central Time is God's time. So I mean, the 11 o'clock news is not what I want, but it's going to happen.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Mike, safe travels, man. I really appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Absolutely. The great Mike Keith, our guest on Robby. And manager search, lots to get into on the program. Cory Curtis will be with us at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan tonight for Vanderbilt women's basketball. Commodores taking on LSU with a 6 o'clock tip-off, pregame at 5:45. Coverage also available on the 94.9 The Fan app and at 949thefan.com. Vanderbilt women's basketball presented by Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball, coming to Nashville's Municipal Auditorium February the 5th through March the 2nd. Go to auprobasketball.com for more details and to purchase tickets. Little Kim Mulkey, Joe Rexrode's favorite person in college sports.
Did you see what she tried to give Kim Caldwell a baby gift during the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was right before.
It was before. I thought she was trying to do it to her when she was trying to call her defense.
Yeah. Hey, I got a present for you.
Throw it at her. Wow, that was almost a huge win for Tennessee.
It was.
But they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think they're going to be in good shape. We'll see how that goes. Appreciate Mike Keith for being with us on the program. As you can imagine, Joe, our text line being flooded right now with love and praise for Mike Keith, which as we've discussed, it's difficult in any walk of life and or sports to walk away from a job having been universally loved by everyone. And that's kind of feels what it is with Mike Keith here. So I'm excited for obviously what he's going to do with the Vols here, but what an impact he left on the Titans. And Amy Adams-Strunk making it clear in her statement that he will immediately be inducted into the Tennessee Titans Ring of Honor.
As he should be. Professor Keith, potentially at some point.
Fun.
Professor Keith. But, yeah, I so fully expect, sack will continue.
Oh, yeah.
That was a terrible impersonation.
It's okay. You tried.
And touchdown Vols, right?
Yeah. We do have a question.
That was also a terrible call by my part.
We do have a question from Maddie on the text line that says, how many times next year will he slip and say touchdown Titans just out of sheer muscle memory? It probably is a concern for him. I don't think he'll do it.
I don't either. But to his point there, talking about being terrified, am I going to forget everybody's name, all that stuff? That's how people who are great at their jobs, that's what they have, right? Yeah. I bet you he'll rep not saying that about 1 million times before he calls that first game.
I would assume so.
I was going to ask him to give the Titans fans a little bit of dose of optimism, but I think it was better to just keep it on him and
probably so.
What's going on,
Mike? Can you give Titans fans some level of hope? Sure. I'm sure he could have come up with something.
He could have come up with something.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it was awesome of him to join us, and he's just. Again, we talked about it last week when he got the job. He's universally you're gonna have a real hard time finding somebody who doesn't like and respect him and appreciate him and have good experiences with him. And he's gonna be great. He's gonna be great with the Vols. So for the Vols Titans fan, you feel all right. For the Vandy/Titans fan,
it's a tough one.
Tough scene.
Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line. Welcome in Adam in Portland to the program. Adam, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
I always said Mike Keith is like Mexican food. If you hate him, it's your own fault. It's not his fault.
Nice.
He's the best. The last 14, 15 years, I've had him as my ringtone, and I'm not changing it because I know I get that call is still the best call I've ever heard from an announcer ever. The Music City Miracle was the best radio call I've ever heard. So
incredible call.
He's a legend, man. And the way these guys, and I've heard a little bit from the Dodgers guys and some of these guys through the years. That's you've got to time that so well. Sometimes just shut your mouth is the biggest part. And he was just so good at it, man. His timing was epic. So yeah, we're gonna miss him. But Titans, man, we're dirt, man. We're the worst at everything right now, including announcers, I guess. So yeah, I guess it's a good time for him to get out. It's a great opportunity for him because I'm a Bucs fan. I know Robby, you are too. So it's a cool opportunity for him. But it sucks to look at where the Titans are overall. I'm glad he didn't talk about the Titans on the way out. That's good.
Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it. Love that somehow shifted right back to the Titans are dirt.
Mike, what do you think about the dirt?
Al on the text line says the real PK, Professor Keith. Maybe on something there.
Oh, there we go. Professor Keith, PK. Mike, what do you think if we start calling you PK? Would you like that?
I'm sure he would love it.
I mean, Mike's even nice to PK. Okay, that tells you what a nice guy Mike is.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you're nice to PK. You love PK.
Well, yes.
A valued member of our program.
I won't have any comments whatsoever this week when he comes in the studio about him carrying water for Chad Brinker. None whatsoever.
Robert on the text line says, touchdown Vols just doesn't roll off the tongue like touchdown Titans.
What about touchdown
What's
Tennessee?
really going on?
Touchdown
I like
Tennessee.
touchdown Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We should have asked that one too.
Well, he may not know yet, and you
That's
may
true.
want to keep it a surprise.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to wait. That's right. Got to wait for that first one to see what he's going to do. I don't think he should tell anybody until he does it.
I agree. 615-737-1025, our phone number. We will get into the Titans, their search for general manager. Coming up next, the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode at 7:45. Cory Curtis will be with us at 8. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025, our phone number. The Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up here shortly at 7:45, which I'm very excited about, by the way.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the Rex
good.
Rant.
We're gonna test you out.
Good.
Yep, I'm gonna test everybody.
I look forward to it. Joe, I guess we never really talked about who we think should replace Mike Keith. Who is your leading candidate if you're the Titans to replace Mike Keith?
I think this was Stilley's one, and I would agree with Jonathan Hutton.
Yep.
I think, right? That was his one.
That was.
And I don't know, the likelihood given, that those guys left and all that stuff. But I think I always thought that Hutton was a potential successor at some point. There's a lot of, like Kevin Ingram, you think about locally, obviously I'm not even going to get into elsewhere. Of course, I'm sure the Titans are going to talk to people from other markets and things like that. I don't have any great ideas on that front, but if we're talking locally, those kind of mine, I will throw you a little underrated young, someone I think has a lot of promises. My guy, Lucas Panzica, just throwing that out there
for sure.
Who it came and called a huge Nolensville High School playoff win. And
Brennan Rexrode all over the field.
My son's name correctly. Yes,
all over the field.
That's right. That's right. But no, he's promising. There's others, but those three kind of stand out to me. How about you?
Hutton for sure. And our guest at 8:00. I'd be interested to see if he'd want to do it. Cory Curtis. How about that?
I don't hate it at all.
He's called games before. He did the preseason games for a long time on News 2.
I don't hate it at all. But if we're going to go, and by the way, if we're going to go that route too, I will say that Steve Lehman doing a great job on the Belmont. So I think you throw him in.
What about you? You want to throw your name in the hat?
Yeah. No, that'd be really.
I would love it.
Bro, Creed sucks. Yes, it'd be a really great call for the Titans fans. Like me doing play-by-play would be such a disaster. Holy crap! What about Stilly? Stilly's a professional broadcaster.
It'd go really well. He sucks. He sucks. Can you believe he made that pass? He sucks.
You're doing this, not me, for the record.
Oh God!
I wasn't even trying to rip him, and you just,
I'm not ripping him. I think it would be awesome. I would love to see it. I don't know that Stilly could get through a drive without just losing it. Can you imagine Stilly on the call for the Will Levis miracle flip earlier this year? Would have been
my God!
He would have been.
You effing up!
You seen the Minnesota Vikings guy whose name escapes me right now? That every time some bad play happens, it's just an absolute disaster on the call. It's hilarious.
Oh, really?
Love it. Like the famous one is like Brett Favre when he threw that interception against the Saints in the NFC title game. He's like, and he just threw an interception. I can't believe it. My God, he threw it right over the middle of the field. It's like, all right, there we go. Now you kind of talk me into Stilly.
Keith says just a PA announcer just move over a booth. And coming back on the field. That's an idea.
That's to get Taylor Lewan out of retirement at that point.
My favorite is, to your point, kind of like the same thing with the Vikings announcer, is so this guy I love, Mark Champion, used to do the Lions. He's great, but it's like there'd be a play and it's kind of the same idea, but it's like, okay, and Joey Harrington rolling right, he's throwing it in the end zone, and it's picked off as a returning 97 yards for a touchdown. It's, oh, here comes that, and they just blew the game.
I find that stuff to
Thanks
be
for listening.
Hilarious. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Just the total shift in
just
vocal tone.
Totally just completely miserable. Oh God. It'll be interesting though. And man, it's important. Titans fans need some positivity.
They do.
They need some hope. They need some new names.
They do. Megan on the text line says, good gracious. Y'all need some background music for the YouTube stream instead of just silence. I always have a mini heart attack when Robby yells, welcome back in, out of nowhere. Almost sliced my hand just now. It scared me so bad. Well, Megan, we hope you're okay. My apologies. And maybe I need to be a little calmer on the way back into the segment, Joe.
I didn't think that was a thing. I'm sorry. What are you cutting is my next question.
Yeah. Good question. Joe, what do you make of where things currently stand with the general manager search for the Titans? We talked about Diana Rossini putting out kind of the list that the Titans went through. It was a busy weekend for the Tennessee Titans, and it got overshadowed yesterday by Vrabel to the Patriots and Cowden joining Vrabel in New England. But what do you make of the candidates that we currently know about for the Titans general manager job, and how quickly in a situation like this do you feel like the resolution will come if you're the Titans and the Titans fans looking for the general manager position to be filled?
That's a good question. I would think pretty quickly. I can't keep them all. How many people have they interviewed? 17? 29?
They've interviewed a lot.
It made you mute yourself.
They did. Was it 7 this weekend?
It's just every
Go back and count.
couple hours, they got another email from
I
the
counted
Titans.
the emails. I believe I got 9.
9.
Okay.
There you go. 9.
I mean, just about everybody you can think of logically, they've hit. By the way, since you brought Stilly into I thought Stilly told us it was going to be a news dump with coaching firings on Friday. Stilly, are your sources failing you? Because I did not see that, which is interesting too. Though. Seriously,
is
kind of interesting that the coach staff is just.
Is that guy Colt Anderson hanging around?
I mean, I guess it's like, it's strange because the thing is, we have new staffs now, right? Like, if you're going to lose your job, this gets to the point where the people who are in jeopardy of losing their job, like, they need to know.
Yeah.
They need to know what's going on because now new coaches are getting hired and putting together staffs, right?
I would think.
So I actually thought for sure that would be correct, that they would, whatever they were going to do, announce something. Maybe they're not going to do anything. Wouldn't that just be a treat?
That would go over really well.
Yeah.
It is the Monday, and it's been a week. So we're talking about last Monday, Brian Callahan had his press conference and said that he would be speaking with the staff later that week. And we've not seen the aftermath of what that's been. So what if the decision is, we're just bringing everybody back?
Well, it could be. I will be very surprised after a 3-14 season if that's the case. Very surprised. It would be actually mind-boggling if that were the case. But also, again, like, they need to move into this and let these people who are losing their jobs try to find other jobs. So I'm predicting today that we hear something on that front.
We'll see what happens. Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Joe in Nashville. Joe, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Good morning, fellas. So I think the Vrabel thing is like, hey, your ex finally got with the relationship she always wanted. Good for her. Like, she would have happily stayed here, but you chose not for that not to happen. So, via con Dios. I see it differently than even AJ, who obviously wanted out and was pitching woo at the Eagles. Though you could argue, Vrabel professing his love for New England in New England. But anyway, I know that's been talked about. So I wonder if Nashville is becoming Green Bay South. Are we a dark horse McCarthy team? And then also, I was thinking about this last night. If the circus has come to town, if the team's going to be bad anyway, and we're Green Bay South, give me the whole friggin' circus. I want John Gruden and Aaron Rodgers. They won't stab you in the back. They'll stab you in the face. Thanks, boys.
Thank you, Joe.
I hadn't thought about the Gruden part.
Yeah.
Gruden was over there every once in a while. I see like some long video of Barstool where Gruden's like, no, covered theory. Get into this. And they're all sitting there like, Coach Gruden.
He seems to have found a new home at Barstool.
Gruden and Aaron Rodgers here.
Again, for our purposes, it would be great.
I'm 100% here for it.
I don't know that the Green Bay South part of this is going to come to fruition. Like, first off, they're not going to get Mike McCarthy. So I don't think that's going to happen. I am interested to see what happens with him. Like, is he going to, I guess, just be with Dallas at this point?
Well, there were some reports about an extension here. It looks that way. The way things have gone, right?
That's wild to me. But yes, it does kind of look that way.
Yeah.
The Rodgers thing, we talked about it with TD on Friday. I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world in terms of like a realistic possibility that could happen. There's just not a lot of great options at quarterback this offseason. And if you're going the veteran route, like, is Derek Carr going to be available? Do you really like Justin Fields? Sam Darnold, I guess depending on what happens tonight, probably not going to be available for Minnesota. So if Rodgers is out there and the Jets let him go and he wants to play, like on the field, he could be your best option. And then you have to weigh what happens off the field with Aaron Rodgers as part of the discussion too.
How good is he, though? Like, let's just remove all that stuff. I got to be honest. Like, I really tuned them out after like 3 weeks.
Well, he's 41. So that's in the backdrop of all this. Now, they made it, and he's talked about it, and Devontae Adams has talked about it. They made it seem like he was playing through some stuff this year, not just the Achilles, but, some injury stuff that he had to deal with. And at the end of it, he ends up with A 63% completion percentage, almost 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks, 6-7 an attempt. Like, it's not great. It's certainly not his prime numbers. But it's not awful either. Like, it's 4,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 11 picks on a terrible team. So, to answer your question, I don't know. Like, is he? He's not the force multiplier that he used to be. I'll put it that way.
Also, obviously, he's, well, I think from a coaching perspective, that might be the biggest, point of hesitation, right? Is actually Brian Callahan himself. Like, the way that he just seems to quickly turn on coaches and disrespect coaches openly. Well, I don't know that he's like a cancer in a locker room guy.
Yeah, I don't think he's that. But I do think, like, his way of operating, there's got to be an understanding, number one, from his viewpoint, and number two, from the Titans, that, like, you're not in charge of this. Like, we want you to come in and play quarterback. Obviously, we respect your ability and your opinions and all those things. But, like, we ain't bringing Alan Lazard here. We ain't bringing the ghost of Randall Cobb. Like, I know you want some of these guys, and there's, Cobb's retired. I get all that. But you're not going to have much of it. Like, you're not having a say on the personnel that we're going to get. You'd have to have that understanding.
And by the way, Aaron, have we introduced you to NWI? Your new Alan Lazard.
He would love NWI.
He would.
He would.
Any quarterback would.
Yeah.
Vrabel's already, I'm sure Vrabel's already got like plans to tamper with and bring. I mean, what is NWI? Is he a free agent?
I think
he signed a 1 year this year.
I think so. I think they got to re-sign him.
God. NWI, get that winter gear, baby. I know where you're going to be next year.
Paycheck is going to be steep for NWI next year. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Cory Curtis at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, the game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment. Let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Because it sucks to lose, Gentry.
Trey, ever need to show you anything?
Did you have another thought or no? I'm just curious.
Well,
It sucks. Losing, awful. Why are you holding your hands like that?
I'm trying to get a question in here.
Well, then ask the question. No, I'm just saying, like, you look ridiculous.
Oh, simpler times. Mike Vrabel to the New England Patriots. It is time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. Joseph, with the beautiful clip from John Glennon and Trey Avery in the background, and your hands escapade with Mike Vrabel. I'll turn things over to you.
Happier times. So you go back. We had some great ones, man. I wish that we could go back and you can't, obviously it wouldn't work on the show, but or you could read them. Like some of the Zoom message stuff when we had to do Zoom calls with Vrabel.
The chat?
At one point, actually, there was one of his messages in the chat was just Joe's a clown. It was going to become like my Twitter. And I basically would just go in there and rip Koharski with hey, nice question, jackass. Oh,
Joe's
God, we
a
had so much fun. Yeah, Vrabel. Joe's a clown. I remember Chris Harris sent that to me. I was going to put it on my Twitter thing, but then I lost it. So
Vrabel, devoted listener to Robby and Rexrode. I wonder if that continues in Foxborough.
Oh, you better. Oh, he's obsessed. He's hate listening right now. Even as the Patriots are trying to figure out who he wants to hire for his OC. By the way, Kyle Tucker said if I was a play-by-play signature call, another donut? Yes! Time to get a shutout?
Oh, boy.
So we're going to do a little test. I'm so sorry that this comes back up again, but it's not my fault. People are coming at me. I mean, yesterday, you're on the text thread where Stilly texted me, right? One of those texts that you got in church.
It was one of them.
Was Stilly, texting you, me, and Caroline?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like somehow, what the heck was he? It's all the same crap. It's unbelievable. It's basically, again, trying to relitigate Vrabel going to the Patriots. Big Joe is just absolutely obsessed with this right now. So he keeps coming after me. Now, he may just be trolling me. I get that, okay? Big Joe trolls me a lot. But I'm going to put this out there. I want people in the text line to respond, the YouTube chat, call in, Twitter, however it is. I guess I could do a Twitter poll. This is an intelligence test.
Okay.
Let's listen to Mike Vrabel, because this is what Stilly brought up, and this is what Big Joe brings up, and it always keeps coming back to my word, nothing burger, which, again, I've already apologized for half of that many times. But let's, again, listen. For those who don't know, Mike Vrabel last year, during the middle of the season, during the Titans idle week, he went to New England for the Patriots to be inducted to the Patriots Hall of Fame. That's right, idle week. And here's a segment of what he said that day as he got inducted to the place that gave him his spot in the NFL, that he was able to win Super Bowls and be part of a dynasty. Here's what Mike Vrabel said.
But I also want you not to take this organization for granted. I've been a lot of places. This is a special place with great leadership, great fans, great direction, great coaching. Enjoy it. It's not like this everywhere. Thank you very much.
There you go. So that's how he ended it. Today.
I consider myself.
So, yes. So those words, that's it. Okay. Now, people went nuts about this. Still, he went nuts, of course. He goes nuts about everything. I said it was a nothing burger.
You did.
And I was wrong. And Gentry asked us from the Tennessean. He said, man, I think I'm taking Stilly's side on this one. Okay. I was absolutely wrong. I've written about this, The Athletic. Amy did not take kindly to this.
Yeah.
Amy Adams Strunk did not take kindly to this. And it was part of the story last year of Vrabel getting fired. And Vrabel should have in some way communicated to her, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, there needed to be better communication. He's not blameless, like you said. He could have done a better job. I thought it was another burger because I can't believe that she actually took offense to that. But she did. So fine. We can all agree. I was wrong in that part of it.
Yes.
People are still trying to tell me that those words that we just played is Mike Vrabel intentionally at that time taking a shot at the billionaire who paid his salary.
In the middle of the year.
In the middle of the season when he had a job, he did not want to lose the job. So first of all, let me ask you, Robby, Was Mike Vrabel at that moment, because Joe thinks I'm the only person who thinks this, was Mike Vrabel at that moment taking a shot at Amy Armstrong?
I don't think so.
It's freaking idiotic. You idiots. But I don't want to influence your answer, folks. If you believe that, that's fine. I accept either answer.
Yeah, you got to be open to this.
But I want you to respond right now.
Who was he talking about?
What?
Who is he talking about?
He's talking about the Patriots.
I know.
Okay.
But he said it's not like that everywhere else. Who's he talking about?
He said I've been to a lot of places.
Is he talking about Steelers?
He's not talking about any other place. He's talking about how amazing the place is. It's not like this everywhere. Why is this so hard?
But if it's special there, it doesn't have to be not special somewhere else.
You're just trolling me now. You know that
throwing it out there. If it's special there, is it not special elsewhere?
Well, I would definitely, if you want to really boil it down, it sounds like he was saying it's more special than Pittsburgh, Kansas City, and Tennessee and Houston. Those are the other 4 places he'd been.
I know.
Okay. But again, this is the day that he's inducted in their Hall of Fame. So he said something nice about them, and people take it as and they still, Ricky's on Twitter. It's like, God, you're so delusional. What are you talking about? He's not, you know how stupid you'd have to be if you were in Vrabel's shoes to actually be trying to openly at a microphone rip your boss.
He and Robert Kraft were in the owner's box, and they were talking about this day, and they finally reached the end point of their plan of, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to get my ass fired by Amy Adams Strunk.
Yes.
And then here in about a year, you can hire me again. I think we're seeing the culmination of it.
They hatched the plan. Now, you may be right. Dennis says it was Vrabel playing up to the Patriots fans. It wasn't a shot at any specific team. Right. I know. And yet, you know how many people actually think this? Cameron says, who the hell do you think he was talking about? Yeah, Cameron, he's talking about the Patriots. I've done this rant already. I did this rant last year when I said it was a nothing burger. And again, I was half wrong on the nothing burger. I was half wrong.
You were wrong. You're not half wrong. It made Amy mad.
Yes.
The face is getting red.
So we've got a lot of, I'm trying to read through the answers as I go through this. More people are taking the smart answer, which I appreciate. There are some who's like Vrabel doesn't give any F's, so he's definitely taking a shot. Yeah, he did. He didn't want to lose his job. I swear to you.
I hope he gets up there
didn't want to
today.
lose his job last year.
I hope he gets up there today in his press conference and says, "This is what I was trying to get done for a long time, and we finally done it." We have Cory Curtis.
Dumb that hurt the team.
Thank you.
It's that guy. We'll have Cory Curtis from News 2 with us coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. We head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Cory Curtis from News 2, who joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. Cory, good morning. How are you?
You know, my Bears aren't in the playoffs, but I'm pretty darn good this morning.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure it's a great time for you.
Did you see the rating for Jordan Love in that game?
I did not, but I can't imagine it was very good.
It was one of the lowest ratings for a quarterback in modern NFL history playoff games.
Didn't go well. Did not go well for Jay Love yesterday.
No. It's in all seriousness, it's amazing. Because we always want to be careful not to overreact to, one single performance. But, how revealing these playoff games can be. Justin Herbert's had 2 playoff games, and he's melted down in both of them.
Yeah.
And we keep waiting for Lamar to break through in the playoffs. And so that's what we'll all be watching. People can – look, Lamar is sensational. There is no doubt about it. But we're all waiting for him to break through on the playoff stage. And people, even the biggest Lamar fans, have to be waiting for that. And now we'll be asking those questions about Jordan Love, because I'm sure the Packers will be good in the future, but he's going to have those demons to overcome now.
No doubt about it. And I will say, already very excited for Buffalo Baltimore next week, so it could be pretty awesome.
Game of the weekend, without question. Best game of the weekend.
So Cory, let's start on the Vrabel front. Vrabel hired by the Patriots, the worst kept secret in the NFL. Your reaction to that move, and what do you make of that job for Mike Vrabel?
Was I the only one who thought Gerard Mayo was a dead man walking the moment he took that job?
I don't know.
No, I didn't necessarily think. I just,
Oh, come on.
So talk me. So Robert Kraft was just going to do a 1 year with Mayo all along.
I think probably. Did they do anything?
How could Robert Kraft, Cory, have known that Mike Vrabel would be available right now? He finished second with the Chargers job. He was very close to getting that job. So you're telling me the whole thing was constructed a year ago.
Okay, maybe not the whole thing was constructed, but he's had this job for a while. I will say that.
I can see that. Well, I asked earlier because I'm with Joe from the standpoint of it would be difficult to plan this a year ago, not knowing if Vrabel was going to be available. But the question that I would ask is how, at what point was this the plan? Like, you get into week 2 this year and you're like, yeah, we're going to go hire Mike Vrabel at the end of the year. Like when Vrabel made it through the coaching cycle last year and didn't get a job, was it the plan then? That would be interesting to know.
I would think, this is my estimation, when Vrabel didn't get a job through the coaching cycle, they immediately went on to the thought of, well, if it doesn't work out this year, we'll go get Mike.
I could see that. So what do you make of the fit?
I think he would fit better with a team with a better roster, like most coaches. Look, his coaching staff's going to be important. He's got a young quarterback to develop, and he hasn't shown he can do that at this point. He hasn't really had the opportunity to show that. But he's going to have to show that he can put a staff together that can bring along a young quarterback, and they need a lot of players. He did it with bubble gum and Band-Aids at times here, and you can, as you saw, only do that for so long. They need a lot of players. Now, fortunately, they have a high draft status, and they've got $130 million in cap space.
Yeah, they got a lot of money.
Which you can argue, why didn't they spend it before? What were they waiting for? Or were they just unable to spend it because nobody wanted to go there because their roster was a train wreck? They're going to find out, and maybe Vrabel helps them with this. When you're a bad team, you have to pay the bad team tax. The Titans have had to pay it before, and they're going to have to pay it now. And, I think the Patriots are in it. It's why they've lost out on a lot of free agents is I think they've scoffed at the bad team tax and knowing that they're a bad team. But they're a bad team. They don't have 5 great players on their team. All right. They have a good young quarterback. But we've seen that before. He's got to survive, and he's got to develop, and he's got to have the pieces around him, to develop. So, I'm interested in the staff that Vrabel puts around himself to help build that thing. And and I'm curious how much he lets them do their thing, or if he, just wants them to do what he says, which is kind of what he's made verbalized before to Matt LaFleur and company.
Cory, any of the 27 general manager candidates the Titans have hired pique your interest?
Did you see there was a tweet or a post about the Bears search? It was a picture of Patches O'Houlihan from Dodgeball. And it said the Bears 73rd interview was with Patches O'Houlihan. And yes, the Titans GM search. The one thing I will say is, the volume of candidates, unlike the Patriots search, lets you believe that this is a real search. And they, by the quality of candidates, they've convinced them that, they are in fact going to be, the GM in charge of personnel. So I guess they've convinced everyone that, this is in fact the job, and, you aren't going to be, oppressed by, the president of football operations. He has his job, you have your job. And, because if not, I don't know if Thomas Dimitroff, interviews for that job. Yes, it's one of 32, but, I don't know if he needs to do that and not have his job. And so, I think it's encouraging for them, the number of people, and I would say for the most part, the quality. I understand they could be good people. I don't know why you're interviewing anyone from the Browns or the Colts right now in their front office staffs, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot, and I think we're hitting this new stage where everybody does Zoom first and then in person second. And so it'll be interesting to see how many they pare it down to for in person. Don't they still have to interview the guy from Green Bay?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. And you would have to think he is one of the front runners.
I would think so. So on that front, Cory, what do you make of the way that this is now played out to this point, with Carthon being shown the door, Chad Brinker having final say over the search for the GM and the roster here, and Brian Callahan, really no news on his staff since last week at the press conference there. What do you make of the way that this is all shaken out, with Carthon being the one that gets shown the door, and now the aftermath of Brinker moving ahead here to be the decision maker for the Titans?
Well, I know a lot of people are upset and think they're in disarray, and I get that, to a degree. But I will say that I don't think, and I told this to Jared on Friday, I don't think she likes giving money away. I don't think she likes paying people to not work. So I don't think it's on a whim. I don't think she thought, hey, we're bad, I got to fire somebody. If she did, she could fire everybody, and she's not. So, clearly something happened along the way where, her opinion of Rand and his job performance, for one way or another, soured. And she's still willing to give the other guys a shot, but she thought that she needed to make a change there. And she's the owner. That's her prerogative. That's her job, is to put the best people out there forward. So that's what she thinks she's doing. She's trying to win a Super Bowl. You can disagree with it all you want. She's trying to win. All right. You can disagree with her ability to get there. I understand that, but I don't think we all can question her motives, because she desperately wants to win. She had a structure in place when it was over. And, we'll see if that structure changes after this year, then I think we can really start to kind of question it. I think a lot of it stems from, it's just to hear what you guys think about this, trying to do this competitive rebuild, kind of like the Predators talked about, trying to kind of to cobble together wins while you're rebuilding. And I think they're finally feeling like, what, we should have just pulled off the Band-Aid and started over again. But they were trying to still win games. And I think they found that impossible to do.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be a male model, but I'm going to have 17 taquitos for lunch. So, I mean, it's great that she wants to win, but,
Do you like the taquitos at the
me.
gas station? The ones that roll on the gas station rollers?
I've had some of those. Live to tell about it too.
That I don't know that I've had those, but a few times I've looked at them in the warmer and they look pretty freaking good. Not going to lie.
They're all right as long as you don't get the ones that are have been there all day. And
how do you know?
By their color.
Yeah. Okay. You'll have to take me taquito shopping at some point and show me the way.
Joe, I'm your guy. Okay, I'm your guy. I'm a big spender. All the taquitos you can eat. We'll call it Gout Tour 2025.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let me I'm going to ask I want every host at this station today to answer the question too, by the way. I forgot to say that, Robby.
Okay.
You know, this is everybody here is going to answer this today. I know Big Joe and I'm probably Jared where they stand. Very simple. It's yes or no. There's no, oh yeah, a little bit here, that. No. Yes or no. When Mike Vrabel made the comment last year about the Patriots, it's not like this at other places. Was he intentionally taking a shot at Amy Adams Strunk?
Long pause.
No.
That's okay. Thank you. I mean, my God, Cory, you almost went off the deep end. Thank you.
No, I mean, I
it's
thought
simple.
about it.
No.
I thought he's worked a lot of different places. He's played in different places. And he won 3 Super Bowls there. All right. He's going to have a lot of reverence for Robert Kraft, especially if he was trying to set himself up to get a job there. And the Patriots.
I'm hoping today, Cory, that he hops up on the podium and the first thing he says is, I've been trying to get here for a while, and now we've done it.
The plan has finally come to fruition.
Are you calling him Nick Saban? Because you remember when they got off the plane, Nick Saban's wife said, we've been trying to get here for a while.
Yes.
Not going to be the Alabama coach.
Say the whole time when he was Miami's coach, I'm not going to Alabama. I'm not interested in Alabama, blah, 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 blah. We heard it all before. Look, when Mike Vrabel was here, he told his players they had the best owner in the NFL. Okay. And my only point to that is he knows how the game is played.
Yep. No doubt about it. Cory?
Yeah.
Great stuff as always. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning.
You should be honored. You should be flattered.
As always.
By the way, and I'm hijacking your show. You guys didn't ask me about this. What would you guys think about Marcus Freeman and the Bears? I think it's intriguing.
Oh, that's an interesting point. I mean, I think that would be.
Supposedly they've done a lot of research on him.
That would be an interesting hire. Let me ask you this: would you rather have Freeman or Ben Johnson? Because I think Freeman screams head coach to me more than Ben Johnson does. Ben Johnson is just an elite play caller. So which one would you rather have?
Ben Johnson also has an elite roster right now to call plays for. Arthur Smith, when he had Derrick Henry and A.J. Brown and Ryan, he looked pretty darn good, and he struggled to live up to that, since then. And I like Arthur, and I think he's a good coach, but the Jimmies and the Joes matter. Yep. And I agree with you. I think there's value in head coach. That's why I've thought the Bears should try to trade for Shanahan or McVay or one of those guys. Or Kevin O'Connell. So I like the idea of it. I would really have to know his staff and his plan for developing, Caleb Williams. I think that's important. But his ability to lead men and, get them through adversity, I think is unquestioned. And so I think for those reasons, it's really intriguing. And I think it would be an interesting choice between the two. And I don't think it would be something where you would just say, well, Ben Johnson's done this with Lions. And I think you could look at Marcus Freeman and make a legitimate argument. You want to push your chips in on his table. Now, his sample size isn't that big. Okay. And so that's the one thing you're working about, but he has made Notre Dame better and in an age where you got to pay for players. So that's interesting.
Yep, no doubt about it. Cory Curtis joins us every Monday morning at 8 o'clock. We'll take your reaction to what Cory had to say. 615-737-1025 on the Titans. We'll get into the hiring of Mike Vrabel by the Patriots as well. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063 The Game. Preds fans, don't miss Smashville Live this Wednesday night at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs at 6 o'clock. See your Preds star players up close and personal. Your chance to get autographs and pictures this Wednesday night at Brewhouse South in Cool Springs. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Cory Curtis brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Appreciate him for being on with us in the last segment. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. Vrabel to the Patriots. His press conference in New England today at 11 a.m. So looking forward to that. Coming up a little bit later in the program. What do you make, Joe, of the fit for the roster, the timing, everything of the above for Mike Vrabel in New England?
I think it was the best job available with the combination of Drake May at quarterback and stable ownership as compared with the Bears and whatever the heck they have going on with Kevin Warren and their Ryan Poles. And I think there's a lot more stability. Also, as Charles Robinson reported, Ryan Cowden and Mike Vrabel had a great relationship here. Ryan Cowden, John Robinson's number 2, has been number 2 with the Giants since then. And so that's a big deal for Vrabel to how did Charles phrase that, by the way? I want to make sure I give the proper credit to Charles on that report. But basically, according to Charles, Ryan Cowden is going to be joining Vrabel there. And I would guess that he is destined to be he is destined to be the Patriots GM. Elliott Wolf is right now, but I would say if I was Elliott Wolf, I would that'd be a little.
Here's what Charles said yesterday. Quote, I'm hearing Giants personnel advisor Ryan Cowden expected to be added to the Patriots personnel mix, but not with the GM title. I believe Elliott Wolf will retain personnel power. However, Cowden's addition to the front office is Vrabel's preference. Dynamics will be interesting, is what Charles said.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there, but that's a good deal for Cowden. He's been close to getting some GM jobs in the NFL. Prior to this might end up being where he gets the job. And I would wonder if, and I don't know, maybe he wouldn't be interested in this. It's like a role reversal type thing, but would John Robinson have interest in returning to his old employer and being involved in some way? I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but I think Vrabel and Cowden were close and a lot of mutual respect there. And so, but I don't know. Could J-Rob going to be like East Coast scout? I don't know. Just interesting. It'd be interesting to kind of track him and see. I think before long, you're going to see him kind of move around too. Everybody who was part of the team here when they were good, they're kind of fanning out all over the league. And now Titans fans with their 3-14 team, with Berserker in charge, have to watch this and basically hate watch Vrabel and the Patriots, because if he comes in and all of a sudden they're winning big and getting the playoffs and making runs while you still stink, that's going to be just one more sting for Titans fans.
Well, and they play at Nissan Stadium next season, which is also going to be fun. Going to be probably a fun week here on the program of the Vrabel Titans talk. Whenever that happens,
get Vrabel on the show.
We'll try to get Vrabel on the show. See if he'll do it. I wonder, is that going to be early in the year? Is that going to be a primetime spot? I don't imagine the NFL is too keen to put the Titans on primetime next year. So we'll see what that looks like.
Well, but if there was a reason, this would be
it.
I like Chase's idea of like the first Thursday or week 2, Thursday night game. That would be fun. A Sunday night game. Is that asking too much? 3-14 Titans. They're probably not going to get
I don't think they're getting Sunday night.
Probably not going to get a Sunday or a Monday night.
They would get
they'll get a Thursday.
Might get Sunday night if they draft Shedeur Sanders. That may be how they get Sunday night. Or if they go sign Aaron Rodgers in free agency, then you might get a Sunday night or two.
That's a good point. What if they also, like this week, fire Brian Callahan and hire Deion Sanders and then go get Shedeur Sanders?
Then they'll definitely get some Sunday night.
They might get 5 Monday Night Football games.
They might get a lot at that point. Send back to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Joel to the program. Joel, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, good morning, guys. Listen all the time. Don't get too many chances to call in, so I'm a little hit on this, but I want to try to change Rexrode's mind on the whole napping on the plane story.
Okay.
So here we go. To me, and Karski, I don't think did a good job of explaining this, but to me, it's not I think, Joe, you were getting a little bit hung up on the actual napping of the plane part.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's more about cultural norms. So I'm a chef, right? Let's say I'm on a salary position at a restaurant and I'm supposed to work 50 hours a week. That's in my contract. And as a salary, 50 hours, you don't get paid overtime, right? But everybody else around me is grinding, working 60 hours, whatever. And I'm coming in only working that 50 because that's only what my contract says. Eventually, those people are going to look around and say, well, look, I'm pulling all this extra weight doing these things. And this guy over here is doing just the bare minimum, right? So there's other examples like that. You cut yourself on the line and you feel like you got to go to the hospital instead of just wrapping it up and get back to work like everybody else. Point is, there's all these cultural norms in every industry. And if you don't fall in line with those, eventually you're going to lose kind of the respect of the people around you.
Yep.
I think it's more about that than the actual act of napping on the plane.
Yep. Thanks for the call, Joe. Appreciate it.
No, I get that. I do. Now, I did isolate the actual act because so my point, I hear everything you're saying. If everybody else is doing extra and you're not, then I get it. I agree with that. I was just saying that particular example to me, that's why I said to Garcia, he's like, I want to know, is there a division of labor and his end is not being held up? Him napping on the plane does not say that for certain, right? Look, some people truly, and in fact, when I was younger, I was this way, like, can't stay awake on a plane. Some people, now I can't fall asleep on a plane. I
can't fall asleep on a plane.
But some people seriously, and I used to be there, it's like basically as soon as it takes off, like I can't keep my eyes open. I just, like that particular, just because, someone else used to just be all locked in the film. If he goes home and does that work, who cares, right? But I understand what you're saying. Like the idea, if that is actually an indication that he is not holding up his end. I'm just saying it doesn't necessarily say that.
I welcome more plane talk for the Titans to continue to set the record for most time discussing an airplane by a franchise in professional sports.
Somebody had a great joke about that in a text line earlier, and I forgot, but something about the plane from Green Bay. And by the way, I wanted to ask Joel if he has a taquitos recipe, but text in and let us know.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Your thoughts on Mike Vrabel to New England. What do you make of the fit? What do you think how do you think Vrabel will do in his new role with the Patriots? We'll take your thoughts on all that. 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Mike Vrabel to the Patriots. Let's head back to our 102.5 The Game phone line. Welcome in Jack to the program. Jack, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
How are you fellas doing?
We're good, Jack.
Good.
From judging by the love fest that he went through when they put him in his Hall of Fame, I figured this was a no-brainer. And I imagine he's going to do just fine up there once they get over the hump of, redoing a roster, new people, new coaches, all that. And I would certainly think Mr. Kraft is tickled to have him.
Yep, thanks for the call, Jack. Appreciate it. I mean, Robert Kraft, no doubt, I think is happy. One question that I do think is interesting to ponder here, and Cory Curtis brought it up. When did this become the plan for Robert Kraft? Because going back to the coaching search last year, we all thought, well, I mean, Belichick's out, so Vrabel will end up as the head coach of the Patriots. And it ended up being Gerard Mayo, which was contractually a part of his deal. He was going to be the head coach. He was the head coach in waiting when Bill Belichick was done. So that was in his contract. So he gets the job. Vrabel goes through a cycle where he finishes as the runner-up for the Chargers job behind Jim Harbaugh, does not get another job. He's out there and available. So once they got through the coaching cycle, how quickly did Robert Kraft and the Patriots identify Vrabel as their next target? Was it last offseason? Was it week 8 this year? Was it 3 weeks ago? Like how quickly did they identify Vrabel as their next guy?
My answer would be as soon as they lost confidence in Gerard Mayo. And I'm not for a second buying the idea that this plan of having it in his contract and having him is the plan of being the long-term Patriots coach was bogus from the start. That's stupid. Why? If you're Robert Kraft, you also have all these other possible. Forget Vrabel. Like you have a full menu of hot coordinators, whoever else, retreads, trade for Mike McCarthy, whatever you want. You have all these possibilities. Like people are looking at this like, yeah, that was it all along. Mayo just for a year and then no, what? No, I mean the answer is whenever they lost count. Now maybe it was. Maybe by the time they got through minicamp and all that stuff, Kraft's like, oh crap, this guy's he's not ready for this. He's not good. I don't know. But I'm going to laugh at in the same sort of tone that I'm going to laugh at people who think that Vrabel is taking a shot at Amy Adams-Strunk during his speech last year. By the way, I see Chase McCabe in the studio. I can't wait for his answer because his best friend Ricky and his co-host both believe that.
There is that.
You're on the spot, Chase.
That is right.
Oh, he wants to say
what
something.
Are you complaining about now?
I'm not complaining. I have a question for you, and you're going to need to give an answer today. A yes or no answer.
What's the question?
All right, here we go. This was my rant. Did you hear my rant today?
No, I literally got in the car right as you were done.
That disappoints me, Chase. All right. Look at Chase. Is he going to come in here? Okay, so yeah, we'll ask the question, which is simply Mike Vrabel. We all know how Amy took it. We all agree when he was with the Patriots last week. We all know how he took it, right? How she took it, right? We know that, and I was wrong about that. But when Mike Vrabel said what he said, was he intentionally taking a shot at Amy Adams-Strunk? It's yes or no, not an in between. No. Cory paused and he made
Cory paused for a long time.
He did pause, but he gave the correct answer. And you're going to be arguing with Ricky and Big Joe if you give the right answer.
Chase is also.
I think it was a pot shot. I don't think it was intentionally hey, I'm trying to get fired or anything like this. So to a yes or no question, no. But I do think there was a pot shot in there because of how maybe things were going.
Can you give me a ruling on this, Robby?
Vrabel's the king of pot shots, and you know this better than anybody.
Yes, but he's usually pretty direct with it. He's like, here's an answer to your stupid long question. Put your hands away.
Right.
It sucks, Gentry, et cetera, et cetera.
He couldn't be that direct in that situation.
Well, right, but I know, but he was praising the place that was putting him in the Hall of Fame. It's not like this in other places. Okay.
Right.
In other words, Amy, you suck. Fire me.
But he had to know that him wording it that way was going to piss her off.
I think it was the fact that he apparently didn't think that was a huge deal and they never discussed it. Because remember, we talked about that at the time. You know, all the stuff comes out at the end of last year with Vrabel losing his job, and they never sat down and addressed this together. And clearly it made her mad.
Yes.
That's a fault, not only of her,
that's where I was
that's a
wrong.
fault of
Yeah.
him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you have
yeah,
to
for
make
sure.
sure that you,
No
if
doubt.
you didn't intend for it to be a shot, you need to communicate that very clearly. If you're him,
I
you need
would
to
have,
not do
if
that.
I was him.
Yep, I agree.
I would have, like, if I had been other places and I go and I do like a speech like that and say something similar, I would pick up the phone and call Bud, our owner, and go, hey, just so you know, like, I was praising my time there, but I really enjoy my time here. Just so you understand that. Like, that wasn't a shot at you. But so that's where I think Vrabel messed up, that he should have called her.
We all agree with that. But again,
I don't know
that he meant for it to be that is
I
he didn't
think-
want to lose his job last year. Guys.
No, I don't think he did either. But
why would you do that?
But
then?
I also think it was calculated in, hey, always have a plan B, or as Big Joe likes to say, stay one step ahead of the jailer.
I think.
But see, that's forcing you to have a plan B. I mean, right? Like, that's the thing. Yes, have a plan B.
I mean, it's worked out for him now.
Well, yes, a year later.
This has been this since they were sitting together in the owner's box, he and Kraft. This is the end result.
All right, now.
This has been
Hey, if
formulated.
Amy fires me, hey, why don't you hire Gerard for a year? You know, if I get fired, then fire him after a year. And
I'll
then
go golf
then
for a
be-
year.
I'll
hang out at the
I'll
corner pub.
pretend I want the Chargers job, but really I won't.
I'll go scout what Cleveland's doing.
I'll
and let you
go.
know.
I'll go take an interview with the Jets just to see what their plan is, and then I'll go back to the corner pub in Nashville. Hire me from there
There you go.
on the Zoom.
I went there recently, and the first thing I did was look over in the corner.
Like, is Vrabel
"Please
here?
be here? Please be here.
Yeah.
Please be here.
Hey.
He's not.
I love that place.
Apparently,
Have to pop
Jared
over
went
there.
on a Boston radio station and said, "Hey, tell Vrabel I said hi."
Oh, good. I'm sure Mike was thrilled.
Is there any way that, like, do we have the budget to send Jared up today real quick for the presser?
God, I wish. I thought about that, of how awesome it would be to send you, Jared, and Kuharski and have you front row.
Well,
And he just walks in, he's all excited, looks out and sees you three, and just goes, ah.
You like this?
you know, Vrabel, he's got
Hands.
the opportunity to do something really nice, really awesome here over the next few weeks as he's putting together his staff. Hi, guys. I'm Mike Vrabel, the new head coach of the New England Patriots. I'd like to introduce you to my special teams coordinator.
Yeah, I knew you were
Craig
going
Aukerman.
there.
Oh.
Craig Aukerman, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to New England. Hey.
Todd Downing is his OC.
Yeah.
NWI.
NWI is about to get paid a lot of money in free agency.
Someone on the text line said that Jeff Simmons liked a tweet.
Oh, yeah.
I saw that.
Talking
Did you see
about
all
him
that?
being traded. I didn't see it.
He doesn't have any.
But how do you see? You can't see what people like
It
anymore on
came
tweets. Can
from-
you?
Well,
the
if
person?
it came from that person that they liked his tweet, so they screenshotted it. Here,
Right.
I'll show it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
other thing too is I don't think he has anything Titans on his bio anymore.
boy.
And there's all that stuff.
All
going on.
right.
Okay.
I was thinking this right now. Call New England if they'll give you at least a second for Jeff Simmons. See ya.
I don't think you're getting a second for Jeff Simmons.
Probably not
think
with
you
the
are either.
contract, but you know.
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, that's.
I mean, at this point, if you don't, I'm sorry, I've like totally hijacked your show.
I mean,
It's
you, you're our boss. It's cool.
No, I know, but you know, I don't like to do that. But at some point, you know, you're blowing this up. Like whether you want to or not, you're kind of there. So if you can get anything for some of these guys that have these big contracts, I would do it.
Actually, it's a good plan, Ben Brinker. It's like I need 7 years.
A lot of patience.
Chad Brinker here,
Required.
draft and develop.
They got to draft, develop, and here in 6 or 7 years, they'll be good to go. Be good to
Okay,
go.
Chase. Okay, Chase is showing me.
Yeah,
this.
there you go.
Oh,
It's
it's
a
okay. But
Jeffrey
what did he
Simmons?
say? What did? Oh, okay. Jeffrey Simmons, come on down, Patriots. Okay. Well,
Yeah, boy, the band's getting back together.
I don't doubt that he would love to play for Vrabel again.
I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
Very popular guy.
Make it happen.
Except, you know, when you go back and you watch all the comments coming out of the mini camp and all that stuff in the summer about, we can finally speak our minds around here. The coaches are making corrections. Everything's hunky dory in Titans land. And then they went 3-14. All
a
that
good
stuff started
point.
to change.
That's a good point. And yeah, I was going to say he's not going to get Downing, but if so, well, back to a defensive coordinator who doesn't make any adjustments or correct mistakes.
Yeah, it's really good. Really good. Chase and Big Joe coming up at 9 o'clock. Chase, we'll talk to you here in a few.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks,
Yep.
boys.
615-737-1025, our phone number. Final thoughts of the program today on the hiring of Mike Vrabel by the New England Patriots. We'll give you the latest updates on the Titans search for GM as well. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Got some tickets to give away to see MTSU men's basketball as the Blue Raiders take on Western Kentucky this Saturday night. Tip off on Saturday at 6 o'clock. Be caller 3, 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. You're chuckling over there. It makes me nervous.
Well, first of all, shout out to Kalina Style getting in on Dennis's territory.
Yeah.
With a little illustration of Berserker. Berserker, baby. Got a little Burke and Brinker, which makes Berserker. Got Amy in it, and you got the onion. Because remember, you take the onion out of the bag. The cheese that was in the bag with the onion still smells like the onion.
Correct.
Titans would not like to suck Berserker. Thank you. And then you've got their best strategy is look Berserker. You got DJ Burnside with Cory taking Joe taquito shopping. That's a really, man, that
really special time.
That taquito. I mean, look at the taquito. That's the biggest
enormous
taquito
taquito
ever.
Yeah. This has got to be a record
amazing.
for the amount of times taquito has been mentioned on live radio. Which
Maybe.
I'm here for.
I mean, taquitos are pretty awesome. Like, there is not a person out there. Some people are disagreeing with the obvious answer that no, Vrabel is not taking a shot. I mean, disappointed that Chase had to pause that much and hedge his answer. But we can all agree that taquitos are awesome, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who doesn't like taquitos? Only people who have not had taquitos.
I even buy sometimes the frozen taquitos from the grocery store and heat those bad boys up. There's
I
no way they're good
in all
for you.
seriousness, I buy them all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's good
and
stuff.
then I dip them in sour cream.
Now we're talking.
Yes, I'm a picture of health.
Taking your thoughts on the hiring of Mike Vrabel by the New England Patriots. I am interested to see how this goes for him. My thoughts on it are this. Look, I think Vrabel's a good coach. I think who he hires, particularly on the offensive staff, is going to be very important. You've thrown out Josh McDaniels. Obviously, I think some people expect him to just go grab like Tim Kelly or, Todd Downing or whatever. I don't know who it's going to be, but you better make sure you get the OC hire right. I think that's got to be a huge part of this. What sort of offensive staff does he put together? And what did he learn about the way that things ended with the Titans that he can now apply and stop number 2 and be better for it? I'm interested to see what that looks like for him.
Well, another thing, if you're the Patriots, this last year for Vrabel is huge. This is a big deal for coaches in terms of having options for their staff. He was just with another organization for a whole year, and I promise you, he was scouting young coaches while there because remember when he got here, he basically had the Buckeyes and the Texans, and he needs to. And I think we saw a little bit of the limitations with his in some of his hires,
Yes.
And so that's a big deal. And another thing is, I'm sure the question will come today about Josh McDaniels. I bet you specifically he's asked if you want a way to quickly get Pats fans not on your side. I don't think that would be a good idea, but I'm not ruling it out. I mean, he had was a lot there for a lot of years when they had a lot of success together. And so, I mean, I wouldn't do it, but we'll see.
I'm not going to rule it out either, but I mean, I think it's time to move on to something else. If you're the Patriots, he was a good offensive coordinator for a long time with the greatest quarterback who's ever strapped it up. So how much of that's him? How much of that's Brady? Which I think is probably a general life question for that organization right now. How much of it is them and how much of it was just simply Tom Brady?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with Vrabel. It's like, this is Kraft. And I know Mayo's not this because Mayo's a newer player, but this is Kraft. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, Mayo was there for some great years too, but this is Kraft, though, still trying to kind of keep it in that era in some way and bring back the glory. And the glory, Brady was the constant. And the with and without is stark contrast.
Yeah.
But I do think that Drake May is a very talented player. And I think that's a big part of Vrabel taking this job. If it was the same thing with this organization he loves, and they still had the huge QB question, I think he might have made another choice here.
On the Titans GM front, Diana Rossini put it out there on Friday that she believes Reggie McKenzie is the front runner for the job. They interviewed 1,000 people this weekend, so we'll see if there's more interviews to come, what the second interviews look like, all those things. But what do you make of where things currently stand with the Titans general manager search? And do you think that, as Cory put it earlier this hour, they have convinced some of these people that they're going to have personnel power in all of this?
I don't know. Like, I don't necessarily agree with what he was saying, like, about Dimitroff, because, first of all, I think anybody interviewing for a job, someone asked that, like, why would Vrabel interview with the Jets job? Or why would this person interview with this because you just do it. You don't burn bridges. You put yourself in front of whoever in this league.
Vrabel's getting a scouting report put together.
Well, there's that too for him. But so I don't know that, like, if I'm a Dimitroff, I definitely, those are my questions, right? Is okay.
For
So
sure.
what is the actual setup here? I don't know that anything that's happened makes me feel any different than what I thought last week, which is this is the assistant to the regional manager and this is Brinker's show.
I'm interested to see who they end up hiring here. Like, we talked about Reggie McKenzie on Friday. There's obviously a lot of experience that you've got there. There's different options you could go with as well that don't have the same level of experience. Charles Robinson has pointed out, like, Brinker does have a lot of relationships around the league. So the pool to this point has been pretty deep when it comes to potential candidates. So I guess for a Titans fan, that's good. Like, the deeper the pool you can have, I guess the better off you're going to be in terms of candidates qualified for the job. But I'm interested to see if it gets to the second interview part of this, who makes the cut, who doesn't. And then, like, when's the decision have to be made here? I mean, we're getting, it's still playoffs are going on. We got a long way from now until the NFL draft, but right around the corner are the All-Star games and the Senior Bowls and all that stuff. So I would imagine here in the coming days, Titans are going to want to come to a decision on that front.
Yeah. And also, the coaching changes that Stilly promised us Friday did not happen.
So are they coming?
Are they coming today? Are they coming soon?
Coming at all?
I mean, I think I could be wrong. Well, I was going to say the first 3 and 14. There's very few 3 and 14 teams, but 3-win teams. How many 3-win teams in the history of the NFL then had no coaching changes? I would bet this would be the first.
I would say.
I don't think that's going to happen.
There hasn't been a ton. Hasn't been a ton.
But
nothing yet. It's been a week.
Hey, this organization is full of surprises. Measuring cheek size. Wow.
There's no doubt about that. Vrabel, his press conference later today at 11 a.m. in New England, so that one could be fun. That does it for us today on the program. Jason Big Joe is coming up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.